Well, ever since the Great Recession, many people have found it difficult to borrow money for mortgages, cars, and credit cards as financial institutions tighten their lending standards. But things have improved in the last few years. And here now to break it down and give us some insight into what lenders are looking for is Craig Zuidema, Vice President of Consumer Lending at BayPort Credit Union. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so what are the factors that lenders are looking at when you're making this decision to approve a loan request?
Well, despite what most people think, credit score is really just one piece of the overall process. While it is important, the most important thing that they're looking at is the actual ability to repay the loan itself, otherwise known as a debt-to-income ratio or capacity. And that includes the monthly debt obligations, not so much the utilities or the grocery payments, but the actual monthly debt obligations. That's why it's important for an individual to understand what those debt obligations are and how much they can afford on a monthly payment.
Right, so credit history, credit score, obviously that's going to play a factor into the decision.
Yes.
But what just the role that plays in the overall decision?
The credit score itself is still extremely important, but it's important also to understand that it's just an overall reflection of the credit history. A lot of lenders these days are looking beyond just the simple credit score and digging deeper into what makes up that credit score. So while it's important to understand your score ahead of time, it's also important to understand that score will determine the pricing of the loan, most importantly.
Right, because I think people think, oh my gosh, my credit's not so good, I'm not even going to apply.
They can oftentimes still get a loan if the other factors are still good, like your capacity to make that payment or other things that will help make up for that score. But if you have a lower score, you're going to pay a higher price for that loan.
Okay. And so you're talking about some of those other factors because you are going to look at more than just that credit score and that rating.
Yeah, ever since the Great Recession, a lot of underwriters have gone back to the basic tenets of underwriting, otherwise known as the 5 C's of credit, which is character, capacity, collateral, conditions, and the capital. Other things such as stability at the residence or at the job are still extremely important. And also, if somebody's had some recent credit problems, it's important that they know it, but can explain that to the lender themselves and tell that story. Sometimes that story can make the difference for a loan officer in making that approval of a yes or a no decision.
Now, are you seeing more loans being approved?
Absolutely. Lenders have money to lend. They want to lend the money, so they're trying to find the ways to do that.
And so what are some of the things that people are maybe seeking loans for these days?
Primarily a lot of auto loans. This time of year, auto loans are very out there right now. Credit cards are still important. Mortgages has certainly slowed down. A lot of people aren't refinancing the mortgages because the rates have really truly bottomed out. But there's still excellent rates out there. If somebody's looking to refinance, it's still a great opportunity to do so.
So when we're talking about credit cards and lines of credit, they're kind of handing that out a little bit easier. It is getting better?
Absolutely. It is a little bit easier, but there have been a lot of government regulations which have made it a lot tighter. So it's not always the credit standards of the individual financial institutions. Sometimes it's the regulations that have been put in place to overcome those issues.
All right, sounds good. So if you want to check out BayPort Credit Union and get more information on possibly applying for a loan, stop by any of the BayPort Credit Union locations across Hampton Roads. And you can also visit their website. You can log on to bayportcu.org.